Colorado, Dave, won in a different way today. It looked like for a while there.
Technical term.
Yeah. It was an ass whooping. I thought that Nebraska in the second quarter at least had a chance to win that game because they were running the ball very well. And like I thought maybe, as the game went on, it's kind of the same thought process as last week that Nebraska would be able to wear down that defensive line and actually get some stuff on offense. And then they just were the ultimate peak version of bad Nebraska.
I mean, it's crazy.
And Colorado, too, also took advantage of those things. But it's a two-pronged question here, I guess. We'll focus on Colorado. But I do think that there's a small Nebraska discussion about just like, how can a team be so terrible at everything all the time over constant coaching changes, regime changes, different players, 4 turnovers, 4 for 13 on third downs, 2 sacks. Sims fumbled the ball twice, 4 interceptions through the first 2 games. They direct snapped the ball into a person who was in motion. They doinked a short field goal off the upright. It just is just a.
Other than that, it was fine.
It's a clown show. It's like, what? I thought this was the exact opposite of what would happen with Rule. But first, I think we have a clear and identifiable way of viewing this Colorado team, and it's just that they're very good.
I think that's what we have to,
and that's what it is.
I think that's last week you could still say, well, we don't think TCU is good. I personally do. I think TCU is still really good. I think TCU played really badly last week, but I think they're still going to be a top 25 team when all said and done. If you still wanted to be, the Colorado hater or whatever after week 1, you probably could. You had enough, reason to say, well, Colorado, stole some points and blah, blah, blah. And, whatever. I think Colorado's just a good team. You know what good teams do is they beat the crap out of bad teams. And Nebraska is a bad team right now. And Colorado beat the crap out of them. Now, ultimately, the question is, how good is this team? I'm excited to see them with a couple measuring stick games. You get Oregon on the road. You get to host USC. I will be at both of those. I don't know that we're going to learn much with game day in town next week for Colorado State. And Big Noon Kickoff, who already announced they're going to Illinois and then bailed on Illinois and flipped to Colorado.
I wonder why that happened.
To be around, well, still – I mean, it's not like they didn't entertain the fact that Illinois could lose to Kansas, but then they're not even broadcasting that game. ESPN has that game, and it's a 10 p.m. kick, and Fox is still following Colorado for a 3rd consecutive week. So, Fox, they're on the moneymaker right now, but they're just good, and I don't know how good. You threw out 8 wins last week. I think that probably sounds about right. And I did not get to ask a question in the Dion presser today, but I was curious because he kept saying this team is not scratched the surface of what they're capable of. I'm very curious what he thinks they're capable of. If he's sitting there, is he going to say, hey, we can win a national championship. We can win the Pac-12. I think they're talking about that in really explicit ways among themselves and in the team. But I'm curious how much he wants to speak that into the world. He's talked about competing for championships, but the question of how good Colorado is an interesting one. I think it's a worthwhile discussion to have. I think it's a fair debate. But this team is clearly competent and clearly good. And what they look like when they hit the thick of Pac-12 play will be fascinating. And they took care of business today against the Nebraska team that was overmatched and just played terrible football for a lot of the game.
You know what I really liked about this game, Dave, from a Colorado standpoint? Travis Hunter played a lot of snaps, but Travis Hunter didn't have to be Superman.
He was on that one play when he caught that ball and
that was
juked 2 guys out of the shoes. Too. That was sick. Yeah.
I'm not saying that he didn't make plays, but what I'm saying is it wasn't just like a one-man show of two-way player who was like, if that guy was, I feel like if Travis Hunter didn't play today, they still would have won.
They definitely would have. Yes.
And I don't know how many games, and I don't know how many games we would have thought we would have said that after watching them last week, because he had such a heavy hand in that win. Colorado has Colorado State and they have Oregon and USC back to back. So at least by October, we're going to know exactly what they are, but you keep going to these games and they keep winning so far. And it's just a very interesting dynamic. I didn't think they were going to be this good. The fact that they are this good is an ongoing discussion, and that's that. Shedeur Sanders again.
People get annoyed. People get annoyed at all the noise. There's tons of celebrities on the sidelines. The freaking Wu-Tang Clan is roaming around on the sidelines at Colorado today. They have the turnover thrown. They're talking smack. Shedeur getting mad at them for standing on the logo in pregame, and people get mad at all the noise and all the flash and all that stuff, and then they show up focused and take care of business. And they were, I'd say they were probably the more physical team today. I wouldn't say it was a butt kicking in the trenches, but they were clearly the more composed team that didn't shoot, their foot, 6 times in one game. This Colorado team through 2 weeks, Ari, they don't do things that cost you games. They let the other team do that. And then in the case of, getting red zone stops against CCU last week, they make plays that win you games. Nebraska, even if they don't do any of the comedy of errors that they did, they probably still lose this game by 2 touchdowns, maybe more. And it's just, they gave away a lot of points in the first half, and Colorado took advantage. And I think Colorado, I think Dion called it garbage in the first half. They really did not play well offensively, and still barely broke a sweat against this Nebraska team. And that's impressive.
Tony Yayo said this in the chat, and I was thinking about it too, but Travis Hunter gets a lot of the attention for obvious reasons, but Xavier Weaver and Jimmy Horn are like really good receivers.
Oh, yeah. Those are good players. Listen, for all the skepticism around Colorado, the one thing nobody was ever skeptical about, from any coach I ever talked to, is they got some receivers, and they kind of like their backs. They weren't really sure about the backs. But Dylan Edwards has been a standout in camp. But everyone is like, they got some receivers. We'll see with Shedeur. Travis is special, but they got some speed and they got some receivers.
Are you going to the Colorado State game?
No. We're TBD. I think I know who will be attending that for us. I will not be there. I'll be at home.
Okay. I just wanted to know if there was like a 5-game winning streak, but I'm excited to see like what Colorado does at Oregon in 2 weeks. That's going to be very fun, but certainly pass the test. And of course, Shedeur Sanders threw no interceptions in this game. I thought he was very efficient again, very accurate for 42, 393 yards, 9.4 yards an attempt, and 2 touchdowns, no picks. So Shedeur has 7 touchdowns, no interceptions, and almost 1,000 yards passing in 2 games. I don't know. I'm starting to get the sense too that maybe we underestimated how efficient he could be. Maybe we thought he could have some, top tier playmaking ability.
Yeah. And he didn't play very well today. That's kind of what's amazing. Especially in the first half, he looked iffy. I think I didn't have a lot of questions about Shedeur's arm talent, but my thought was when people are in your face and you're having to run around, can you still make plays? He made a couple of those today. He looked a little shaky in the first half with pressure, but he's significantly above average. I don't know how good he is. He still can get a lot better. His accuracy was a little shaky when he was on the move today, but he is an impact player. There's no doubt about that.
Do we just blast Nebraska into the sun until next year?
Yeah.
I don't know.
This is not a team capable of doing a whole lot. You might trip and fall into a 3 wins in the Big Ten West just because that's a slap fight just about every time. Wisconsin didn't exactly acquit themselves well today either. But this is not a team that, needs to be taken seriously right now.
Okay, well, there's a lot more
they did.
Noteworthy games. I don't think Nebraska is going to be taking too much more oxygen out of either of our lungs moving forward.